So I went full-time freelance. I was like, holy shit, here we go. That was real scary. It was a real scary time. I quit my job basically right after I got married. Shortly after I bought a house. My wife didn't even know I was doing it. I had credit cards and ran one of my credit cards up a lot. I had to empty out my 401k. I had to do a lot of really risky shit, man. Like it was sketchy, and a lot of times I didn't know if it was gonna work. What up, you guys? It's your boy Rob. Today's video has been one that I've been wanting to make and feeling the need to make for a long time. It's also a video I feel every YouTube channel should have, and it's pretty much just gonna be about my history. My journey through life, my journey through business. I have a lot of experiences with different businesses, starting them, just being a part of them, a bunch of stuff. And I think a lot of you guys may not even know about a ton of stuff I'm about to say. Some of you who have been following me for a long time will know a lot of this stuff, but there's definitely going to be some things that no one's ever heard before ever. Things I thought about actually the other day that I've literally never even talked about. So it might be kind of interesting, but the biggest reason I want to make this video is to give context into who I am as a person. I have all these videos online and I do all this stuff, but there isn't a lot of context into my life or the person behind the lens, right? It's just a bunch of videos of me doing like entertaining things, which I love to do. Like I love to entertain people and make people smile, or put out content that's intriguing or something of that nature. I love to have fun. That's kind of the core of it. Long story short, I just think making this type of video is very important for all channels because it just really shows a glimpse into who these people actually are. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have something like this, consider making a video and people will be interested. I can guarantee it. All right, so I'm gonna start from day one, literally day one. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut. My whole family's from the East Coast. I actually think that really explains a lot of my personality. Being around my dad and other family members, I feel like we just have, it's just a genetic thing. I don't know, it's kind of a straight to the point attitude, sense of humor is a little, sometimes I may roast people that may not be ready for it or something of that nature. It's just kind of how I am. I'm kind of a no bullshit guy. I hate to waste time. There's a lot of characteristics with me and a lot of other East Coast type people that we share in common. And then I moved out to San Jose, lived there for a few years, I think like 3 years, and then moved up to Washington. That's really where I was raised. I was up there for the vast majority of my life, pretty much. And then went to high school there, all that kind of stuff. Ended up getting a full ride football scholarship out to Idaho State, go Bengals, to play football. Duh. Met my wife out there. She played softball. Ended up getting a job transfer out to Oregon, and that's how I'm in Southern Oregon right now. One thing that we'll do though is go back to when my whole creative process came about, because a lot of people follow me for that. I'm known as being a designer, as being in marketing and branding, which I love. It's who I am as a person. But a lot of you guys know me as that. I say that all the time in videos, and all my review videos I go over like the branding of the packaging, because that's like my life. So basically how I got into that was when I was 13 or 14, I took a design class. I started doing a lot of creative stuff, started like being able to express myself a little more than ever really before. And during that time, I was also really big into Xbox. I was a huge Halo player. I did some tournaments with some of my best friends. We used to get online every night and play together. And Xbox Live was the first social media. I still have an Xbox right there. I still fuck with it. So anyways, what I did in that time was I decided to, with one of my other buddies who was sort of creative, we started painting people's Xboxes. I think we even had a website. We had something. We had a MySpace. I think it's still live too. Well, let me look this up. No way, dude. Look at this shit. So it looks like MySpace has completely changed, but if you Google my name, if you just look up Rob Tremonti, this picture of me holding up this customized like tiger stripe Xbox pops up. This is actually a 3-layer paint job. It was pretty fucking sick. So yeah, I started painting Xboxes. I remember we made about $1,000. I think we were like 14 years old. Made about $1,000 between both of us. And there's actually some buzz going around the high school. Like we were really doing this shit. I can remember making ads on like, I think it must have been like Microsoft Word or something, and printing off all these ads in my design class, and then going around the school during a period where nobody was in the halls or anything, and slapping these advertisements up all along the lockers, everywhere. I remember even putting them in the restroom in all the dudes' stalls. So when they're taking a piss, they literally had to look at the advertisement. And no joke, literally like an hour, if that, after I hung up all these advertisements, my buddy Casey and I get called out of the principal's office, I think, and they just, got us in trouble. I remember it wasn't like a big deal. Like, it was just kind of like a slap on the wrist. They probably appreciated like the entrepreneurship mindset or something. I don't really know, but that was it. And that's just how I've always been. That was like obviously no marketing class involved or anything like that. This is just how I've always been wired. You know what I mean? I love starting stuff, and I love the marketing, advertising aspect of it, and like getting the word out about stuff. That's just what I'm passionate about. So that's what we were doing. I was doing that. Simultaneously, I'm in this design class, I learned Photoshop, and the next year I decided to start a graphic design company called Robbery. And we were going to make posters. Me and my buddy JR, who was also a designer at the time, just kind of started off. I think he was a little more experienced than me, though. He was pretty good. And we were going to make posters, like motivational posters, and hang them up. And we had all the figures figured out. We're like, dude, if we sell this many posters, like, we're going to make this many dollars. And we're like sophomores in high school. You know what I mean? And we're like asking all of our teachers if it's possible for us to go print off a poster and hang it in the room, and all this kind of shit. It's ridiculous. So a year after I learned graphic design, started a graphic design company, and I think that was actually like registered. Like the day was registered. We had a website. I remember when you would go to the website, like Make It Rain by Fat Joe would start up and shit. Like, fucking, actually a pretty sick idea. I should bring that back. But so we started doing that. That idea kind of flopped. We just never really progressed with the actual making of the posters. I think the profit margins weren't like what we thought they would be or something like that. We were going to print them off of Costco, and then Costco kind of like was too expensive or something like that. We were young, we had no jobs, we had no funds, we had nothing like that. So it was kind of tough to get going. So we just never really, collapsed somehow. Me and that dude were going to start a clothing brand, but we never did. And then a few months later, I find out that he started a clothing brand with some other dude. And it was a really like, what the fuck moment. I have no like animosity towards any of them at all. It just kind of cracks me up now, but it was like a what the fuck. And I was like, well, I wanted to start a clothing brand. I thought I was going to start one with him, and we didn't. So I went to another one of my best friends, Joey, and we turned Robbery from a graphic design company into a streetwear company. And fast forward, a long time, we ended up running that company for like 7 years, dude. Like, we ran it all throughout high school, killed it in high school. Like, we sold a pretty good amount of stuff. We would get our stuff all made in Seattle. Seattle was like 40 minutes away. And at first we made 2 different shirt designs, sold a whole shitload of them. And then we had like 4 shirt designs queued up to go. And the guys in Seattle called Guerrilla Printing, I think it was Guerrilla Screen Printing or something, would call me up and be like, hey, this stuff's done. And I would just hop in my truck with Joey, and we'd go down to the screen printing shop, which was like basically next door to like where the Mariners play, pick up a bunch of shirts, stuff like that, and come back home and try to sell them. That's pretty much it. But we had a website, we had a Facebook page with like a ton of likes and all that kind of stuff. So we were doing all this shit when we were like 16, 17 years old, not really thinking that, in retrospect now, it's pretty impressive that like some kids were doing all this stuff and knew how to do this and all that kind of shit. But we were just kind of figuring it out. You know what I mean? I think we got 50 shirts made, $10 a pop. The shirts themselves were not very high quality at first, but we didn't know what a nice shirt was. I didn't know what a nice brand was. I didn't know anything. You know what I'm saying? But we made them, and we made this culture around the brand, and it all kind of came like second nature to me. It was never really, because I get a lot of people asking me all the time, like, what marketing classes I've done and how have I learned everything. And it's really just been second nature. My dad was a marketing guy, and he still is, but I think it's like a genetic thing. I don't know. The majority of this stuff is like a creative, like marketing mind. I think it's like genetics, straight up. That's just how I feel. Fast forward like 4 years, something like that. I'm in college, still running it, still have all the clothes in my closet, managing the orders, doing all the writing notes to people when they buy stuff, like doing a lot of stuff. Meanwhile, my business partner Joey was in California. He would do a lot of the photo shoots. He had a bunch of friends, good weather, all that kind of stuff. So they do a lot of content creation out there, sent it to me. We just kind of like made it happen. You know what I'm saying? During that time, I don't know if you guys remember karmaloop.com. I think it still exists, but it's nothing like what it used to be. KarmaLoop.com used to be the biggest streetwear company retailer online. I think I said that whole sentence like backwards, but the biggest online retailer for streetwear in the world. They were the biggest. That was the site. That was the place you get clothes. All I ever did was shop there, and all I ever wanted to do was get on that site. That was like the goal. That was like the top goal, just to get on KarmaLoop.com. And we started grinding away, made some connections, ended up talking to the CEO. He used to like put his phone number out there. It was really odd, but he used to like put his phone number out there. Anybody could text him and stuff. And it was actually legitimately him. I talked to him on the phone once. And I used to do interviews on our website as well with big figures, rappers, design moguls, you name it. Like anybody related to like the streetwear scene, I used to do interviews with. In fact, I did an interview with MGK before he was famous. I did that interview as a joke. My roommate was like, dude, check this fucking guy out. And the song I think was called Chip Off the Block. We saw it, we're like, who's this white dude that's like actually kind of good? You know, we thought it'd be kind of funny to do this interview with him, so I contacted him. It was actually him emailing me back and forth, and we did this interview. And it's actually online. I can find that right now too. It's a little difficult to see. Let me see if you can. It's tough with this white screen. I don't know. The interview right now is pulled up on my screen. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll actually put a link to this in the description box of the video so you guys can check it out. But we did some stuff like that. So we were like making moves. I remember a few years later, MGK did a song during the Super Bowl, and I was like, dude, this is fucking insane. You know what I mean? I had an interview lined up with Big Crit when he was a nobody, and I didn't do anything about it. Like, I wasn't even progressive about it. I thought he was just another artist that, you know, wasn't that popular. And then obviously, if you guys are into rap now, Big Crit's one of the biggest fucking rappers in the South and in the game in general. So that's pretty sick. Blew that shit, dude. So anyways, at this point, I've been running the brand for like 6.5 years. And then my wife gets a job transfer out to Oregon, out to Southern Oregon. The headquarters for the place she was working at out in Idaho is here. So she gets a job transfer out here. We're like, let's go. The town we were at in Idaho, it's like a black hole, so cheap, no one ever leaves. And we got an opportunity to leave, and I was like, let's get the fuck out of here. I'll figure it out. I brought all the apparel. I immediately land a pretty lucrative job, and I got pretty lucky. I actually got the job off LinkedIn. They hit me up. And I used to always talk shit about LinkedIn. Like, no one ever gets jobs off there. It's like, it ain't shit. Like, this website sucks. I ended up getting a straight up, like, decent job off the site. So I can't really talk shit about LinkedIn anymore. But I get that job about a month after I move out here, still running the clothing brand. And when I get the job, I'm told I'll be traveling, I think it was 150 days out of the year. That's what I was told. Then that ended up to not be true. But I was told that, and I was told, you know, how serious the job is and all this kind of stuff. And in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, I don't know how I can run this brand, and maybe it's just time. Maybe it's just time to let it go. And it was really tough. And I remember talking to my business partner. I remember that like it was last night. You know what I mean? And talking like, damn, this sucks. This is who we are as people. This is how people know us. We got the page up on Instagram to like 18,000 followers, dude. Back in like 2014 or 13 or some shit. Like like the equivalent to that now is like, I don't even know, 700,000 followers maybe? You know what I mean? Like no one had 18,000 followers back then. But I found some marketing strategies that worked and just went hard as fuck. I'd stay up all night doing this shit, and you know, not a whole lot's changed, I guess. But what I'm trying to say is like it was like an established brand. Like people still miss it. You know, people still follow me that fucked with robbery, and we joke about it every once in a while. And you know, it was a real brand. You know, and I miss it actually. I miss the whole thing. So about 9 months goes by, and then I'm super cliche. I'm sitting in my office, I'm thinking to myself like, I need to be doing something else. Like this whole corporate America thing is just not for me. You know, I can do it, but I have like no side hustle. I have no real passion project. You know, it's just my job, go to the gym, that's it. Like that's all I was doing, and I just wasn't really, I knew there was like a void. You know what I mean? I needed something. So earlier in the year when we first moved out here, a guy I went to high school with, Bruce. What up, Bruce? If you're watching this, you're probably not watching this, but I found out that he lived around here, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I was really good friends with his younger brother. I wasn't really good friends with him, but I always knew he was a really funny guy. We played football like way back in the day together, and I always knew he was a good guy. So one day I was like, hey, you want to hang out? So he's like, yeah. He comes over. One of the guys he comes over with is James Mooney, who was, you know, you guys know him from Gus Smith Clothing as well, co-owner of that. Me and James hung out a couple times again after that, 4th of July, I remember. and a few other days we would go out and we'd have fun and we became friends. We became really good friends. So I'm sitting in my office and I'm thinking to myself, like, I need to do something. What am I passionate about? And, the first two things that came to mind were fitness and clothing, because I've just done that for so long. Fitness and clothing. Why don't I start a fitness clothing brand? You know what I mean? And I knew just the perfect guy for the job to go into the company with, and that was James. He was like the polarizing, scary fitness guy in town, that could lift the world above his head and all that kind of stuff. And he's still the same fucking guy. But I knew him as that, and I remember hitting him up and saying, like, hey, do you want to start this brand? I've ran a clothing brand for a long time, and I know how to do a lot of the creative stuff and the business stuff and, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I just need you to be the content, and we can make videos and photos, and you could wear the shirts and the photos, and, like, let's just start this up. It'll be really fun. It's both what we're passionate about. Like, let's let it rip. I think we have something special here. Nobody else in town was doing it. I just wanted to do it. I felt it in my heart that it needs to happen. So that all started in November 2014, and then February of 2015 is when we actually launched product. Up until February of 2015, for about 4 months, we built the brand on Twitter. That was the biggest thing. Twitter, I still think it's perfect for, like, everything we did. You could easily do that again right now. So if you're starting a brand right now, you need to go hard on Twitter or you're going to fucking blow it. Twitter is like a very personable social media platform, and this is a whole different fucking video. But anyways, for 4 months, we connected with people. We built relationships, built a community, all this kind of stuff, and just promoted who we are as a company and what we stand for. That's all we had. No products, no t-shirts, no nothing. We did all that shit for 4 months. Once it launched in February, it was pretty much immediately somewhat successful to scale of who we were and whatnot. So now we're running Gunsmith. Gunsmith runs for 4.5 years-ish. It closed up earlier this year in March. And so that was exactly 4 years from the launch date. But I consider the first 4 or 5 months of building the brand a part of that time. So I always just say 4.5 years we ran the company for. So obviously ending that company after that long, because we established a really strong brand. I mean, we got up to 28,000 followers. We had people get married and they attributed that to the brand, meeting through the brand. We've had a bunch of stories that were just really emotional, really just so much more than t-shirts, you know what I'm saying? And the majority of you guys watching this video right now are probably people that rocked Gunsmith at some point. It was a fitness company, motivational company, mainly in my eyes. And we just gained a lot of support, and it's not just about the following number, but I think that speaks a lot to how strong the brand was and how many people spread the word and all that kind of good stuff. So the brand itself was it was successful. I mean, we basically doubled our numbers and sales and stuff every year as you're supposed to. And then some conflicts sort of happened, I guess. And we just kind of went our separate ways. But I still consider him to be one of my friends. He has a podcast. I've watched literally every episode, front to back, trying to show support. Like all of his picks and, everything just, friends do. There's no difference in my eyes. But we just have different things we're passionate about now. We're on a different paths. I mean, it just happens in life. I don't know. It's tough, but it's just, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? I can't just dwell on something for the rest of my fucking life. You have to move on. So I did, and that's it. So going back a little bit, when I was working on my career, I ended up quitting my job. That was an enormous moment in my life. It was one of the scariest things I ever did. I quit my job and I went full-time freelance. And I was doing freelance marketing, design, branding, pretty much anything you needed. You know what I mean? I've gained all these skills and everything through working these companies over the years. I learned how to design stuff. I learned how to, take photos, make videos, SEO, marketing, brand design, branding in general, PR, customer service. My written communication I think is really good. Just communicating with people in general, just building relationships. That's what I love. That's what I feel like I'm pretty good at. And it's what I genuinely enjoy to the core of it all. So I went full-time freelance. I was like, holy shit, here we go. That was real scary. It was a real scary time. I quit my job basically right after I got married, shortly after I bought a house, all this kind of stuff. My wife didn't even know I was doing it. And it was a pretty intense moment. And it was pretty intense and wild for a long time, for months and months. I did find a few opportunities that, obviously paid me and stuff like that so I can get by. But I had credit cards and ran one of my credit cards up a lot. I had to empty out my 401k. I had to do a lot of really risky shit, man. Like it was sketchy. And a lot of times I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if I made the right decision or anything like that. But I did know that a huge relief was lifted off my chest. At my last job, it ended up being a situation where I just really disliked it, and I didn't really like who I was working for, and nothing was really, I don't know, I just had to get out of there. There's some like little personal things that like I don't really want to hit on, but it was just not a good situation, and I had to get out, and the only person that could really feel or understand where I'm coming from is me. So speaking to other people about it doesn't really make, I don't know, I'll never be talking to someone that would even really get it. You know what I mean? So I got out of that situation, just fucking quit one day. And that was, why even thinking about it right now, man, it's tough to even like talk about again. But I did that shit, went freelance for a long time, scored a couple opportunities, and had a few clients that, I made enough money from to get by for a long time. And then fast forward 3 years, I ended up taking my freelance thing, and I wanted to make it like a real entity. I've never really felt myself like I'm a master at any of these creative, services, I guess. Other than like social media marketing, I'm not a master at graphic design. I'm not a master at like a lot of this stuff. I'm not a master photographer, a videographer, a lot of these different things. But a lot of my friends are. And I wanted to create an entity where I can bring all these services together. And say a client comes to me now and they're like, hey, we want photography. I can send a real legit photographer who focuses on that stuff all day to go help them out. The company itself is called Giant House, Haus. It's German. I'm German. Hell yeah. And down below, you can see the website. It's called gianthouse.com. And you can just take a look around if you want. We're actually almost coming up on a year now, which is crazy. It's been about 10 months. It took a little while to get some momentum going. We got a few clients and whatnot here and there, little projects here and there. But the past month or two, we've had some massive things happen potentially. And I'm just really fucking excited. I try not to get too excited anymore because I don't want to I don't know. Like I've gotten really excited about shit before that it just completely flops like several times. So I'm a little smarter than that now. That just comes with, time and experience and shit. But we have some things that I can almost 100% with certainty confirm are going to happen, and it's going to put us in a great spot. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just excited to get the next year going because everything's going to kind of start early January. So that's going to be pretty dope. One of my clients is a gym in town, Urban Fit Medford, if you want to look that up on Instagram. I have another client that's a car dealership. I had a meeting with a neurosurgeon the other day. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, really, we can help you out. So long story short, I mean, that pretty much, I would say it's a short story. If this video is like 30 minutes long or something, and I just explained my whole life in it, I would say that's pretty short. But from a creative standpoint and a professional standpoint, I guess my journey, that pretty much sums it up. I don't think I left anything out. If there's anything in this video you want me to elaborate on more, or, I don't know. If there's any other videos specifically you want to see me make, just let me know in the comments. I'll consider all this stuff. Any suggestion is welcome. Hope this video, shed some light into who I am as a person. That was literally the entire goal. All the creatives out there, if you guys want to actually work for our company, you could send in a contact form and we'll review it. I'll review it personally. And we'll get back to you on whether or not you're good for the spot. You know what I mean? Personally, I really like where I'm at in life right now. I think things are finally picking up. And I think things are going to be really big for next year. I know I say that every year. Everybody says the next year is going to be big. But I think I'm finally onto something. And about a year ago, I actually made a video about this year. I wonder what day I put that out. But I put a video out about like this year, how it's going to be. And I said it's going to be the best year of my life. I can't say it's the best year of my life. 2013 was the best year of my life. My favorite football team won the Super Bowl. LeBron won his first NBA championship. I bought my first car. Basically got my first real career job where you had to wear slacks too and a salary. So 2013 was a pretty baller fucking year. But this year was a very emotional year. Definitely a roller coaster. You know, everybody usually has like highs and lows, but this year I had a bunch of like really high highs and a bunch of really low lows. It wasn't like a very there's no like moderate times. There's a lot of extremes. So that can be good. Obviously that can kind of hinder certain things at some points, like, you know, from just an emotional standpoint. When things are really hard, it's hard. And when things are really good, it feels really good. So it was kind of it was an interesting year for sure. But yeah, man, like I said in this video, I wanted to shed light into who I am as a person, give you guys some context moving forward so you guys know exactly who you're listening to. That's the only reason I wanted to make this video, straight up. It's pretty late right now. I wasn't even going to make this video right now, but I was like, dude, let's fucking send it. And by the way, this car in the background is a Porsche. Above that, it's kind of out of focus, I think, but it says keep working. Porsche 911 is my dream car ever since 4th grade. I'm pretty sure I pissed my pants in the back seat of one when my dad was driving. I think I was in 4th grade. That's a true story. But that's my dream car. So it's on my laptop. I look at it every fucking day. And that's it. So just in case you guys were looking back there wondering why that's there. That's why that's there. So guys, I think that wraps it up for this video. I'm Rob Tremonti, aka BigRobEnergy. That name was kind of a joke, but I kind of turned it into my brand. And it stuck. You know, people seem to like it, so I just made that shit my brand. I don't know. That's the backstory on that. I really appreciate you guys if you stuck around this long. And hit the thumbs up button. It helps spread the channel. Helps spread the everything. And it's one easy way you can show support. So I appreciate that if you do that. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this story time. And if you have any questions or anything, leave it in the comment section below. Or hit me up on any social media platform, and I'll get back to you ASAP. So thanks again for watching. And peace, dude. See ya.